Welcome to the second video in this little series explaining how to use Team Foundation Services with Microsoft Dynamics NAV. My name is Søren Clemmensen and I hope you enjoy these small videos. If you have not watched the first video yet, I will encourage you to do so before watching this one. My hope is that they will get you interested in Team Foundation Services and consider including it in your daily work. After setting up Team Foundation Services in the last video, we will now create a logical folder structure to store our objects in. We will then look at a little VB script that will help you split your text file into individual objects. Once we have mastered that, we will export your objects from Microsoft Dynamics NAV, split them into individual objects, and check them into Team Foundation Services. Here we are in Visual Studio, and it's connected to the Team Foundation Service account we created last time. We can now start to set up a folder structure within Team Foundation Service to store our object files in. If you're sitting in an R&D team creating product, I would recommend you set up a folder structure looking something like this. A root folder for the standard product coming from Microsoft. Let's call it Microsoft. So click on the new folder icon and it will create a new folder, and here's the new folder, and we can name it Microsoft. Now click on the little arrow next to the project and it will expand the folder structure just like File Explorer. We can now continue to create our folder structure, and under Microsoft I will create a W1 folder, and you can also right click here and create new folders and create a North American folder. And if you are located in another country, you could create a Belgium folder, you could create a Danish folder, you can create a German folder. Now you have the basic folder structure for the countries, and we can expand that under Microsoft. Now under each of these ones you can create the different versions of the product that you're working on. So 2013 would be one version, a major version, and 2009 would be another major version. In this case I create that under W1, and we have the folder structures to support these two major versions under W1. As you can see, there are small green pluses in front of the folders. These mean that the folders of files have not yet been committed to the central database storing the source code, but are only stored locally. Now if we switch to File Explorer for a second and look at our local workspaces, we will see that under NAV and Microsoft we have the folder structure in here. So the folders does exist already locally on your own drive. Now to check in the folders and files, you can right click on the bottom folder of the changes you would like to check in. All changes in that folder and below in the folder structure will then be listed on the right hand side ready to be checked in. In this case that is the Microsoft folder. So here we select check in pending changes, and you will see on the right side the files have now been listed here, ready to be checked in. We can then go up and top up here and write a comment about what it is we're about to check in. In this case we'll say creating the Microsoft folders. And then we can click on the check in button. This will then commit these changes to the central database. Now if you look at the folders, you will see that the plus signs, the green plus signs in front of them have disappeared, meaning that this is no longer a local version. Now we can build the same folder structure for the products you're about to develop or currently are developing. And we'll create a folder here called Products, and that will contain all the products you are developing. So that's created, and we'll create a subfolder in that folder. I will call that product A, So under here we'll create a W1 folder, and we'll create a 2013 folder because that's the product version we are currently developing on. Now, just like before, we will have to check this in order to commit it to the central database. So we right click on the folder and click check in pending changes. We have the list here of the changes we're about to check in, and we can write a comment to the check-in, so product folder structure, and we can check it in by clicking the check-in button. So we see here it says change set 18 successfully checked in. Now the next thing we need to do is to check in the individual objects from our database. In order to do this, we first need to have each object exported as a text file, but that would be a quite time-consuming task to do manually. So I have a little tool to help with that. If you go to my blog on mebuso.com/blogs/SørenK, you can find a blog post on how to split objects. Now I'll let you read the article yourself, but as you can see there is a link under point number 2 to download the file. I downloaded the split VBS file into my splitting objects folder that I created under my source folder. Now if you want to modify or see what it contains, you just right click on it and click edit, and you can see the code and modify the code any way you want. It's just an example, and you could do it in a lot of different ways, I'm sure. So let's now export the files to a text file. So we're going to the Object Designer, mark all the files, click Export. I export it here to _objects.txt, and I'll start the export here. And if you saw it, I exported it to the same folder where my VBS script is located. Okay, the export is done, so we'll jump to our File Explorer. And here we have now the object.txt file and the split. Now what we do is we click on the object.txt file, we drag it down and drop it on top of the VBS file. And within a few seconds we have the object split in individual object files. So we can now highlight all the files that we have just split and cut them from this folder. Then we can go into Sources, Workspace, NAV, Microsoft W1, 2013, and this is where we want to put them. It's our standard objects. So before we put them here, I'm going to create a folder called Base App, and I'll put all the files within that folder. We can now switch to Visual Studio and click on the Add Items to Folder button. That will bring up a small wizard where we can add the files and the folder we just created on a local drive to the source control. So now we just click Finish. And as you can see, the files have now been added. Again, the green pluses indicate that they're only local, so we right click on the folder and click check in pending changes. We check out here which files are actually going to be checked in now. Go back up to the comment box and write a comment. In this case it's a Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2013 R2. And then we can click check in. And it's successfully checked in. You can see it says change set successfully checked in. Now this concludes what we were hoping to achieve today. We created a folder structure in TFS. We created a VBS file for splitting the object files. we learned how to split the files, and we checked in the standard Microsoft objects into source code control for future reference. Until now, we've been setting everything up in Team Foundation Services for NAV development, but have not actually used any of Team Foundation Services powers. In the next video, we're going to learn about using Team Foundation Services in the development process. Thank you for joining, and hope you will follow the next video.